If you're a green card holder in the United States, you need to know about your legal obligations to maintain your permanent resident status. While there's a lot of misinformation circulating online right now, I'm going to give you the facts based on actual current immigration law. Understanding these requirements could be the difference between maintaining your status and facing serious immigration consequences. Let's cut through the confusion and talk about what green card holders actually need to know in 2026. Welcome to US Info Updates, your trusted source for accurate, verified information about immigration law, green cards, visas, and citizenship in the United States. I'm here to help you navigate the complex world of U.S. immigration with factual information based on official sources, not rumors or fear-mongering. If this is your first time here, welcome to our community. We focus on providing clear, actionable guidance that helps you protect your immigration status and understand your rights and responsibilities. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss important updates that could affect your life in America. Today, I want to address some concerning misinformation that's been spreading online about supposed new green card requirements. And more importantly, I want to give you the accurate information about your actual obligations as a lawful permanent resident. This is information every green card holder needs to know whether you received your card last month or 20 years ago. Understanding your current green card obligations, let me start by being absolutely clear. As of January 2026, there is no new law requiring green card holders to register in a special tracking system. There is no permanent resident accountability and tracking system. There are no new mandatory annual verification requirements that just got approved by Congress. However, this doesn't mean green card holders don't have important obligations. You absolutely do, and failing to meet them can result in losing your permanent resident status. Let me walk you through what you actually need to know. Address change reporting. This is real and required. One of the most important requirements that many green card holders don't know about is the address change reporting rule. This is not new. It's been law for decades, but it's frequently overlooked under current U.S. immigration law. Specifically, under Section 265 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, every green card holder must report any change of address to USCIS within 10 days of moving, not 30 days, not when you remember to do it, within 10 days. This applies whether you're moving across the street or across the country. You report this change by filing Form AR11, which can be done online through the official USCIS website at uscis.gov or by mail. The online process takes just a few minutes and is completely free. You don't need to pay anyone to do this for you. Why does this matter? Because if USCIS sends you important notices and they go to your old address, you could miss critical deadlines for things like green card renewals, interviews, or requests for additional information. Missing these notices because you didn't update your address is not considered a valid excuse, and it could jeopardize your status. The consequences of failing to report address changes can include fines, and in serious cases, could even be grounds for deportation proceedings. While USCIS doesn't actively pursue most people for this violation, it can become an issue if you apply for citizenship or if you have any other interaction with immigration authorities, maintaining continuous residence in the United States. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of having a green card. Your green card represents permanent residence in the United States. The key word there is residence. You are expected to actually live in the United States as your primary home. If you spend too much time outside the United States, immigration authorities can determine that you have abandoned your permanent residence. There's no exact formula for how long is too long, but here are the general guidelines based on current law and USCIS policy. If you leave the United States for less than 6 months at a time, you're generally fine. These trips are clearly temporary, and they don't raise concerns about abandonment of residence. If you're outside the United States for more than 6 months, but less than 1 year, you may face questions when you return. Customs and Border Protection officers have the authority to question whether you've maintained your residence. You should be prepared to show evidence that you intended to return, such as maintaining a home, keeping a job, having family in the US, filing US taxes, and maintaining US bank accounts. If you're outside the United States for more than 1 year without obtaining a reentry permit before you left, you have very likely abandoned your permanent residence in the eyes of immigration law. When you try to return, you may be denied entry and your green card could be taken away at the port of entry. You would then need to go through removal proceedings. There's an important tool you should know about if you need to be outside the US for an extended period. It's called a re-entry permit, and you apply for it using Form I-131 before you leave the United States. A re-entry permit allows you to remain outside the US for up to 2 years without abandoning your status. This is particularly useful for people who need to care for elderly relatives abroad, have work assignments overseas, or have other legitimate reasons for extended international stays. Tax filing requirements. Here's something that catches many green card holders by surprise. As a lawful permanent resident of the United States, you are required to file U.S. tax returns reporting your worldwide income, regardless of where that income is earned. This is true even if you're living abroad temporarily, even if you're not working, even if you didn't earn much money. The requirement to file exists based on your status as a permanent resident. The Internal Revenue Service and USCIS do communicate with each other. When you apply for citizenship, USCIS will request copies of your tax transcripts for the past several years. If you haven't been filing taxes as required, this will create serious problems for your citizenship application and could even result in your green card being revoked. If you haven't been filing taxes, don't panic, but do take action. Consult with a tax professional who has experience with international tax issues. The IRS has programs that allow people to come into compliance, and it's much better to address this proactively than to wait until USCIS discovers the problem. It's also worth noting that filing taxes doesn't necessarily mean you'll owe money. Depending on your income level and circumstances, you may owe nothing or even receive a refund, but the filing requirement exists regardless. Criminal issues and moral character. As a green card holder, you are required to obey all federal, state, and local laws. This might seem obvious, but the consequences of criminal activity are much more severe for permanent residents than for U.S. citizens. Certain crimes, called aggravated felonies under immigration law, will result in mandatory deportation. These include murder, rape, sexual abuse of a minor, drug trafficking, firearms trafficking, fraud involving more than $10,000, and many others. If you're convicted of an aggravated felony, you will lose your green card and be deported with very limited exceptions. Other crimes, even relatively minor ones, can make you deportable or can create problems when you apply for citizenship. These include crimes involving moral turpitude, which is a legal term that covers crimes involving fraud, theft, intent to harm persons or property, or violations of sexual morality. Even some misdemeanor convictions can fall into this category. Multiple convictions for drunk driving can also result in deportation proceedings, particularly if they involve aggravating factors like accidents, injuries, or very high blood alcohol levels. The bottom line is this. As a green card holder, you cannot afford to have the same casual attitude toward minor legal violations that some U.S. citizens might have. What might be a small fine or a slap on the wrist for a citizen could cost you your permanent residence. If you are arrested or charged with any crime, even a minor one, you should consult with both a criminal defense attorney and an immigration attorney immediately. The way your criminal case is handled can have enormous implications for your immigration status. Green card renewal. Your physical green card has an expiration date printed on it. For most people, that's 10 years from the date of issuance. Some green cards, particularly conditional green cards obtained through marriage, have a 2-year expiration. It's critical to understand that when your green card expires, your permanent resident status doesn't automatically expire, but your proof of that status does. An expired green card creates problems for employment verification, travel, and essentially any situation where you need to prove your immigration status. You should file Form I-90 to renew your green card approximately 6 months before it expires. The process can take several months, and filing early ensures you won't have gaps in your documentation. Don't make the mistake of ignoring this. Some people think that if they're planning to apply for citizenship soon, they don't need to renew their expiring green card. This is wrong. Until the moment you become a U.S. citizen, you need to maintain a valid green card. The renewal process involves submitting the application, paying the filing fee, which is currently over $400, providing photographs, and in some cases, attending a biometrics appointment. USCIS will mail you a new card once your application is approved. Conditional permanent residence. If you obtained your green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen and you had been married for less than 2 years, at the time your green card was approved, you have what's called conditional permanent residence. Your green card is valid for only 2 years, not 10. Within the 90-day period before your 2-year anniversary of receiving conditional permanent residence, you must file Form I-751 to remove the conditions on your residence. This involves proving that your marriage was and is genuine, not entered into for immigration purposes. If you're still married to the same U.S. citizen spouse, you file this petition jointly with your spouse. If you're divorced, widowed, or if the marriage involved abuse, there are waiver provisions that allow you to file on your own. Missing this deadline is extremely serious. If you don't file the I-751 petition on time, your conditional permanent residence automatically terminates and you lose your legal status in the United States. USCIS may place you in removal proceedings. This is one of the most common ways people inadvertently lose their green cards. They receive the 2-year conditional card, life gets busy, and they simply forget about the deadline until it's too late. Don't let this happen to you. Mark your calendar, set multiple reminders, and file that petition during the 90-day window before your card expires. Selective service registration for young men. This is a requirement that many people don't know about. Male green card holders who are between the ages of 18 and 26 are required to register with the Selective Service System. This is the same requirement that applies to male U.S. citizens. Selective Service Registration is the system that would be used to conduct a military draft if one were ever instituted. While there hasn't been a draft since the Vietnam War, the registration requirement still exists. You can register online at sss.gov, by mail, or at most post offices. It's quick, free, and required by law. Why does this matter? Because if you fail to register for selective service when required, it will prevent you from becoming a U.S. citizen later. When you apply for citizenship, USCIS will check whether you registered as required. If you didn't, they will deny your citizenship application on the grounds that you failed to meet your legal obligations and therefore don't have the good moral character required for naturalization. If you're currently between 18 and 26 and you haven't registered, do so immediately. If you're now over 26 and you didn't register when you should have, you need to obtain a status information letter from Selective Service explaining your situation. Depending on the circumstances, you may still be able to become a citizen, but it will require additional documentation and explanation. Detecting immigration scams. Now, let me address why I felt it was so important to make this video. There are people out there who prey on immigrants by spreading false information designed to create fear and panic. They then offer to help you solve the fake problem they just created, usually for a fee. These scams often follow a pattern. They claim there's a new law or requirement that you've never heard of. They create a sense of urgency, saying you must act immediately or face deportation. They use official-sounding language and reference government agencies. They may create fake websites that look similar to real government sites, and ultimately they want your money or your personal information. Here's how to protect yourself. First, always verify information through official sources. The official USCIS website is uscis.gov. That's the only official website. If you see a website that looks similar but has a different address, it's fake. Second, USCIS will never call you asking for immediate payment or threatening you with arrest. They communicate primarily by mail sent to your address of record. They may also use their online account system or, in limited circumstances, email, but they will never demand immediate payment over the phone. Third, you never have to pay someone to report your address change or to access official immigration forms. All USCIS forms are available for free on their website. Some people choose to hire attorneys or accredited representatives to help them with complex applications, and that's fine, but it should be your choice, not something you're pressured into by scare tactics. Fourth, be extremely skeptical of anyone who contacts you unsolicited claiming to be from USCIS or claiming to have important information about your immigration case. USCIS doesn't operate that way. If you receive information that seems alarming or urgent, take a breath, don't act immediately, and verify it through official channels. You can call the USCIS Contact Center at 1-800-375-5283. You can check the official USCIS website. You can consult with a licensed attorney or DOJ accredited representative. When to consider applying for citizenship. While maintaining your green card is important, many permanent residents eventually decide to pursue U.S. citizenship. Citizenship provides additional security rights and benefits that green card holders don't have. As a U.S. citizen, you cannot be deported. You can vote in federal, state, and local elections. You can travel freely without worrying about abandonment of residence. You can petition for certain family members to immigrate with shorter waiting times. You're eligible for certain federal jobs that require citizenship, and you no longer have to worry about maintaining your green card or meeting permanent resident obligations. Generally, you're eligible to apply for citizenship if you've been a permanent resident for at least 5 years or 3 years if you obtained your green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen who is still your spouse. You must also meet requirements related to continuous residence, physical presence, good moral character, knowledge of English and U.S. civics, and attachment to the U.S. Constitution. The naturalization process involves filing Form N-400, attending a biometrics appointment, completing an interview with a USCIS officer, taking the English and civics test, and, if approved, attending a ceremony where you take the oath of allegiance and receive your certificate of naturalization. The process typically takes between 8 and 18 months from start to finish, though times vary by location and individual circumstances. If you're eligible for citizenship and you plan to remain in the United States permanently, it's generally a good idea to pursue it. However, this is a personal decision, and there may be reasons why some people choose to maintain permanent residence instead. Resources and where to find help. If you need help understanding your obligations as a green card holder, or if you're facing immigration issues, there are resources available. The USCIS website at USCIS.gov has comprehensive information about permanent resident requirements, forms, filing instructions, and policy guidance. Most of what you need to know is available there for free. If you need legal help, make sure you work with someone who is authorized to provide immigration services. This means either a licensed attorney or a DOJ accredited representative. You can find accredited representatives through organizations recognized by the DOJ's Office of Legal Access Programs. Many communities have nonprofit organizations that provide free or low-cost immigration legal services. These organizations can help you understand your situation and navigate the immigration system. Be very careful about notarios. In many Latin American countries, a notario is an attorney. In the United States, a notary public is just someone authorized to witness signatures. They are not attorneys and cannot provide legal advice. Unfortunately, some notarios exploit this confusion and provide unauthorized immigration services, often with disastrous results for their clients. If you can't afford an attorney and you're facing deportation, you may be eligible for pro bono representation through organizations that provide legal services to immigrants. While you don't have the right to a government-appointed attorney in immigration proceedings the way you would in a criminal case, there are organizations that may be able to help. Special considerations and common situations. Let me address some specific situations that come up frequently. If you're a green card holder who travels frequently for work, make sure to maintain strong ties to the United States. Keep your home here, maintain bank accounts, file taxes, register to vote if you become a citizen, and keep detailed records of your travel. If questioned, you want to be able to demonstrate clearly that the U.S. is your primary residence. If you need to spend extended time abroad caring for an ill family member, consider applying for a re-entry permit before you leave. This protects your status and makes re-entry much smoother. If you've had any interaction with law enforcement, even if charges were dropped or dismissed, consult with an immigration attorney before you travel internationally and before you apply for citizenship. Some encounters that seem minor can have immigration consequences. If you're divorced from the spouse through whom you got your green card, this doesn't automatically affect your permanent residence, but it does mean you'll need to wait the full 5 years before you're eligible for citizenship instead of the 3 years that apply to people still married to their U.S. citizen spouse. If you change your name legally, whether through marriage, divorce, or court order, you should get a new green card reflecting your new name. You file Form I-90 for this purpose. While it's not legally required to have a green card with your current name, it prevents confusion and problems when you need to prove your identity and status. Staying informed about real immigration. Changes immigration law and policy do change, and it's important to stay informed about real changes that could affect you. However, you should get your information from reliable sources. Official sources include the USCIS website, announcements from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Department of Homeland Security press releases, and official government publications in the Federal Register. Reputable news sources also report on immigration policy changes. Look for coverage from established news organizations with fact-checking processes. Qualified immigration attorneys often publish analysis of new laws and policies on their firm websites or through legal organizations. Be skeptical of information from social media, YouTube videos that create panic without citing official sources, websites that aren't clearly affiliated with government agencies or legitimate organizations, and anyone who contacts you unsolicited with urgent information. Real immigration changes are announced through official channels, are reported by legitimate news organizations, and are documented on government websites. They don't come as surprises that only one YouTube video or website knows about. I hope this video has given you clear, accurate information about your actual obligations as a green card holder and helped you understand how to separate fact from fiction when it comes to immigration information. Remember, being a permanent resident comes with both rights and responsibilities. You have the right to live and work in the United States indefinitely. You have the right to protection under U.S. law, and you have the responsibility to maintain your residence here, follow the law, file your taxes, report address changes, and keep your documentation current. These aren't new requirements invented to make your life difficult. They're long-standing obligations that come with the privilege of permanent residence in the United States. By understanding and meeting these obligations, you protect your status and keep your path to citizenship open if you choose to pursue it. Here at US Info Updates, my goal is to cut through the confusion and give you information you can trust. Immigration is complicated enough without having to worry about false information and scams. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up so others can find it too. Share it with friends or family members who have green cards and might benefit from accurate information. And subscribe to US Info Updates for more content about immigration, visas, green cards, and citizenship based on real law and official sources. If you have questions or if there are topics you'd like me to cover in future videos, leave a comment below. I read every comment, and your input helps me create content that serves this community. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, stay informed using official sources. Don't let scammers prey on your fears, and always verify urgent immigration information before you act on it. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your immigration status. Take care, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video right here at US Info Updates.